Okay. Good afternoon, it is. Yeah, afternoon. If you're in the Mountain West or Central Time or East Coast, but not on the West Coast, it is the afternoon. And this is the latest installment of On Tyranny, which is a series about how authoritarianism is affecting American artists. I have a very distinct pleasure of welcoming uh, Nic Pugh today. Is it Pugh or Pugh?
It's Pew, yeah.
Pugh, okay, cool.
You got it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
From Midniter, and it's a project that I was turned on to fairly recently, but I've been hooked on ever since. Before we start talking about the subject matter, I just want to recommend it to anybody who's listening and watching. And Yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you. And um, and First of all, what I tend to ask most artists who are participating in the series, um, and I don't use the word authoritarian creep anymore, or like potential authoritarianism. I'm an ardent believer that it's here and that we're living in it now.
hmm
So I just want to make that qualification, which I don't think I've done yet in one of these interviews. But anyway, I first of all want to ask you, how are you doing? Specifically, how are you doing with everything that's going on in the environment we're living in now?
Um, that's a heavy question, isn't it? It's this this is something I feel like here we are in the beginning of the interview. I feel like there's so much happening so quickly that it's easy for things to be so heavy that it's just mentally draining. So I think I'll speak for myself, but I can see others around me kind of doing the same thing. We want to be engaged as much as we possibly can because obviously we want to know what's happening around us. So we don't want to just let things fall, and we want to be engaged in our local communities too, especially. But it's easy to let things be overwhelming and to just kind of not participate sometimes and to opt out a little bit. And I'll say there's been times, especially in this past year, where I've definitely just been like desensitized, and that's when things start to get scary, right? When these very abnormal things become, you know, almost normal. And it's, oh, I didn't ask beforehand. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Absolutely. Yeah, curse away.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
I
Yeah,
expect this whole conversation to just be curse words, in fact.
hell yeah. All right. Yeah, it's just fucking weird, man. It's fucking strange, and everything just seems absurd. Uh, and the more absurd it gets, the more I feel like we're just kind of like, okay, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a scary thing, I think, for
Yeah.
sure.
A couple questions to stem off from what you just said. First of all, I really like how you use the words desensitized and normalized in the same sentence, because I
Yeah.
feel like normalized is a word that's being thrown around so much. We have every year there's just like three or five words that get used to such an extent that they lose their meaning. Like literally is one that comes to mind. Um,
Mhm.
but I think that the connection that you made, just either consciously or unconsciously, between normalization, which sounds kind of innocuous in a lot of ways, and
Right.
sensitized, which is really an indication of a person's emotional well-being getting worn down to a point where they don't feel things as deeply as they should. I think that's a really insightful um, statement you made. Uh, yeah.
Well, that's what I see, and or I see, us feeling things the way that we should, but it's just too much.
Mm,
And therefore it kind of falls into that realm because of that too.
yeah.
It becomes too much and you know, I don't want to go too far on just the first fucking question, right? But how are we doing? How am I doing? I see a lot of my friends like, and me too, also just like, um, everything becomes a lot, right? And it's sometimes we're just out here just trying to focus on just survival. You know, we're trying to create and do things that we felt like it were at one point essential in our lives, and I think that some basic things are becoming more essential now, if
Mm,
that makes sense. Like, I don't know, survival. I mean, the economy's shit at the moment. I feel like, and you know, it's hard to create around that too. You know, sometimes because
right.
being an artist could sometimes cost a lot of money. Yeah.
True enough.
Uh, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. One of the real uh I didn't necessarily see this coming when I launched the series, but one of the uh strongest attributes I feel of it, or at least one aspect of this that I find a lot of fulfillment in, is the fact that, you know, artists are, in my opinion, like kind of some of the most sensitive people in the world. And I don't use that, sense being sensitive has become such a pejorative now. It's like this has these,
I hate that too. I hate that because I think it's a good thing. God forbid that we're empathetic, you know?
yeah,
And I don't, I hate that that's, especially under current circumstances, that's become a bad thing for sure.
yeah,
Or it seems that way. It seems like it's socially becoming a stigma, which again, I'm gonna say absurd. It's incredibly absurd to me, you know. Um,
in on that subtopic of language, I was thinking the other day of how, like, I don't know, I think it still is, but like the phrase social justice warrior was used as like this, like, insult to laugh at people who were trying to do good in the world or are trying to do good in the world.
right.
And then you have the Secretary of Defense, who I refuse to call the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth,
Yeah.
giving a talk in front of 800 generals who have, each one of them has probably 20 times the amount of experience in the military that he does.
Yeah.
And he's berating them or trying to teach them on the warrior ethos. So it's like, I'm proud to be a soldier justice warrior. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, of
don't,
course.
and I think a lot of the people in those rooms didn't appreciate being told that they weren't uh, embracing enough of the warrior ethos. But anyway, but the other thing about sensitivity is that, I feel like artists a lot of times can sense things going right or wrong, um, you know, earlier than other people do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I find it really important to be hearing from artists at this point in time now too. On the flip side, you have talking heads or pundits who,
Right, right.
we have to remind ourselves that these are all millionaires. All the cable news people, they're all multimillionaires.
Well, they're benefiting from saying something, you
Yeah.
know. Um and you know, I mean, right now I don't feel like that there's a benefit necessarily from me having an interview other than the fact that I feel like I just need to do it, right?
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and I said to you before the interview started that I'm not interviews not my favorite thing, you know. Um, but I feel like it's important, especially now, like things are getting to a point to where you can't not speak, you can't not have an opinion, and that goes back to what I was saying before is. even though it's very heavy and it's easy to kind of uh, let that weight, you know, um, put you in a place of almost submission, I guess. That's the thing. We don't want that.
Yeah.
And so you either let that happen or you move against it. And I think you got to, right?
Yeah.
And even the smallest points of just speaking your opinion or just spending a little time just trying to figure out even what your opinion is if you don't know it. Because the fucked up thing I think is that things happen so quickly and so absurdly every day, especially with Trump. It's like, my God, every day is a different thing that you're just like, excuse me,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And you almost don't believe it's real, and it's like, okay, so yeah, I think it's just I think it's important to at least be healthy about it in the sense of don't let it all create a mental anguish of ruining your day to day, but be aware as much as you can be,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a well-functioning democracy um, shouldn't require every citizen to be aware of what's going on all the time. Because if it's working, if it's
right.
doing its job, then you know um, people should have a sense of peace or a sense of a sense of peace or reassurance that they don't have to be like checking on things.
Well, and there are people that feel that way right now, and that's a scary point, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, I, am a gay person that grew up in southern United States, eastern United States, between Charlotte and Atlanta, right?
Mhm.
And so I feel like a lot of, I don't want to get into this too much because I'm not going to speak of my family. My family, I love them to death, and we're all very close. But it's when you got the closest people to you, you know, who were Trump supporters or MAGA supporters, and that kind of subscribe to what I feel like is that cult.
Mhm.
Um, it becomes even more of a heavier weight in that sense, right? And
Yeah.
so that's even more of a reason to kind of fuck off, because you don't want to step on relationships in that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, isn't that just the same as it ever was in that scenario, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, anytime that this happens, anytime that fascism shows its face, I mean, that's the face you have to look at, right? And that's the fucked up part. You have to look at the faces that are the closest to you that maybe just aren't understanding, or maybe just I feel like most people that feel um, okay with this are the people that aren't they don't feel affected yet, and
Right.
maybe that's where that leads.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good friend of mine, when I was texting with him about some things that were happening. Um, oh, it was actually when 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 Trump and his thugs were targeting Springfield, Ohio. Yeah, Springfield, Ohio
Hmm.
last summer.
Right.
It's saying that demonizing the immigrant communities there and saying they eat cats and dogs. And I was texting a friend and I was just saying, like, aren't you just so disgusted and like upset and distracted by the way that the highest leaders in this land are speaking about other human beings as vermin and monsters? And his response was, you know, well, how is that directly affecting your life? And I kind of took that to be insulting in a way. I didn't tell him that, but
Right.
but yeah. How do you feel like? So there are people who, it's worth reminding ourselves that we live in a country with a certain set or you know for most of the country's history, we had this set of values which included, you know, um, personal freedom, individualism, um, you know, greed, making
Right.
your
Of
own,
course.
as much money as you want to make,
Right.
and justice. So some were good and some were bad, but it's just kind of strikes me now that the American obsession with um, personal well-being, regardless of uh, the suffering of other members of the community, has gone too far. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think there's a point of people are just stubborn as well. Like
mm,
they don't want to be wrong.
yeah.
People don't want to be wrong, and that could be to the detriment of some of their moral compass, which I think sometimes is like they have it, but they're willing to overshoot that for being just vindicated,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know? And it's like it's almost childish, you know? If I mean maybe it is just childish. I don't know. There's so many points of what's happening in front of us that are very much against those ideals that you're talking about, those American ideals. And I mean, America's never been, in my opinion, a, a just entity of the world. We've been kind of assholes all the way through.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, you know, it's still our home,
Mhm.
and I think that the idea of whether I'm a progressive liberal or you're a right wing Democrat shouldn't. I should be able to sit and have a conversation with you, and us not want to kill each other over it. But to be able to go to a grocery store and run into somebody that's having a bad day, and for them to be like, I wish you were dead because you obviously like look a certain way or you give off a certain thing of like, oh, that's a liberal person.
Mhm.
That's kind of the types of things that are happening at the moment, and that's where everything changes, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like that's never been okay. Well, it has in American history for sure, but we we're going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. The to see Trump, who is such a goofy child's magician, like
Well
I
said.
mean, you know what I mean? I mean, he's just talking shit all day, and for people to believe it, I'm just like, I just want to just be like, please, just it's okay to be like, I don't even want you to say that like you rescind your vote, like just can we
Yeah.
just be here together and can we just figure this the fuck out?
Yeah.
And even just a 30-second like, hey, we're gonna be okay situation. But I mean, maybe that's also childish of me to think that way too. That still is something that we can do,
Yeah.
because it's I don't know. I feel like it's getting intensely that way to where in all communities we're all feeling a little scared of each other a little bit, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And of course, fear is the separation of community and knowledge. So that's just
Mhm.
gonna help that agenda. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I don't know. I don't want, especially people in my community, especially trans people,
Yeah.
to feel terrified every day. And I mean, that was a thing that Trump did on day one, It was like
Yep.
he's going to use like federal obscenity laws to criminalize, you know, gender nonconformity
Right.
and almost just ostracize the entire trans community. It was on the White House or the whitehouse.gov or website, and I remember
I don't know.
seeing that on like the first like week of him being in office and just being like, oh, here we go,
Yeah,
here we go, here's the start, of
yeah,
that at least.
yeah.
Um,
Well, they got off and running, that's for sure.
yeah,
And I think I try not to talk about things in these conversations that I'm not sure about because I don't want to be a bloviating, uh, person who's very opinionated but can't back it up with actual facts. But if I'm not mistaken, I think
right.
the military took away healthcare privileges from trans people. I think that happened.
Well,
Um,
yeah, there's like for certain ages and things, and that can be a gray space for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, for the most part, I think so. I think you're right. I think
yeah,
it's becoming more and more difficult. But I think socially, um, if anything, you know, they're more ostracized than they were ever.
oh yeah,
Well, I guess they've always been ostracized, but now it's like it's to the point of, if somebody gets hassled in the street, it's considered all right
right.
to a lot of the community or a lot of the country, I guess. And yeah, that's yeah. So
So
here we sit.
yeah.
You know,
So given the fact that you weren't that you weren't uh um I don't want to say obsessive, but you weren't as engaged in politics as you are now. And I don't even a lot of times like to use the word politics because I think we're beyond that. I think it's like talking about politics suggests that it's some external thing that is autonomous from the rest of our lives. The
right.
reality is, what it's metastasized into is affecting every single aspect of every person's being, livelihood,
Absolutely.
jobs, everything.
Yeah.
So, my point being is that was it difficult for you to decide to write alarmist, given what you wanted to tell people through your music in the past, and did you wrestle over wanted to make a song?
I didn't know, not at all. It was not difficult for me to do it at all, and it was not. It's easier for me to do that than it is this, to be
Mm,
honest. And that's just me, and I feel like a lot of artists are that way too sometimes.
yeah,
It's easier for them to get their ideas and emotions and convictions out that way.
yeah.
You know, but also I kind of wrote it like I wrote that in January. So
Mm,
when here we go, we're just starting again. Here we go, round two. You know, not knowing, here we are almost 11 months later, like, oh shit, I would not have expected this. And I mean, how could any of us, I guess?
yeah.
But I wrote it in a generalized sense still, though,
Mhm.
you know, and I feel like that's something I do anyways as a songwriter is I try to make it my point, but it's generalized enough or it's ambiguous enough that, you know, people can relate it to themselves and latch onto it in any other way that they need to, right? And leaving that open space there.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't hard because I did both those things. I said what I wanted to say, but I was also like even anyone in the MAGA camp could hear that song and take it the way that they wanted to take it, except for a few things. If they were paying attention, those few things are definitely directed that way.
Yeah.
Um, so, but with that said, I mean, I would rather that not be the case. Of course, you know, I don't want fascists listening to my music. Absolutely not. And those are the few things um, that are standpoints in those songs that if you're not paying attention, then fine, you won't see them. But I'll mock you the entire way, and you can listen to it, and I'll mock you the entire way. I'd rather you not, but we'll make it a game, I guess.
Right.
And
Yeah. I gotta say, by the way, you do very well at interviews. You're like one of the most comfortable.
I appreciate that, dude. They're not my favorite, man. I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I've just like, I, I don't like the idea of people like remembering what I say on a whim, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm gonna say something fucking retarded. There you go, or dumb and ridiculous, and there you go.
Oh,
So.
you have much to worry about. Um, so given the fact that you wrote The Alarmist, and like you're saying, it would have been highly relevant, even if even a few years ago or longer than that.
Right.
The way that you are kind of showing your empathy for marginalized people. Um, did the urgency you felt to write that song also was there also at the same time an urgency of feeling like I might not I might not have the right to create this song in a few years. If things keep going the way they're going, now is the moment, not just because we all need to speak up and say what's wrong, but because our freedom of speech might be taken away, and we can't, and we should take advantage of that free speech right now.
That's not a worry in the moment.
Mm.
It's a worry after the fact.
Yeah.
Or for me, the like doing the video was when I started thinking about that, and it's a lot of imagery that I really wanted to portray of things like ice in the moments of people that are human beings being taken away and treated like they're not human beings.
Yeah.
And a lot of people uh, being detained illegally as well. Um, and I see, like you said earlier, like we see these things coming, and I think that was like the first line of the song. I see these things coming where it's like it doesn't matter if you're a U.S. citizen anymore. You're gonna be also taken away if you say the wrong thing,
Yeah.
or it feels that way. And I hope it doesn't get to that point, of course, but
Mhm.
it feels like that. And yeah, at the time I wasn't worried about it. But once I started getting the imagery together, I was like, okay, this might be something I have to deal with in the future, but it's not. It's more worth it to just do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm. Well, given the divisions that we have in society, I think we can all agree, every American can agree that someone who's going through a lot of pain and probably regret right now is Vanilla Ice, having written the song Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah, for sure. I think he went through enough pain beforehand. I don't think this is this was
Yeah.
the root of his pain.
That's right. um,
Yeah, my favorite on that was the whole VH1 thing where he was like, "No, theirs was like do 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 do. Mine was like do 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 do." Very distinct difference, my friend. You know,
what a politician.
I love that. I love that.
I haven't heard that
It's
before.
like
Great. Yeah.
that's too good.
I want to see him argue that in front of the Supreme Court. That would be great. So we're running out of time. We got about a little under 5 minutes left, and I want to leave some space for you to do some plugs at the end. But
Of
is
course.
tomorrow when the video for Alarmist comes out, or this?
So it comes out today on postpunk.com, and I think they're on a different time zone, I feel like, than we are.
Hmm.
They I think so.
Okay.
But it'll be probably sometime tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be a whole day of release day type of situation. But it should come out tonight, yeah.
Anything fun planned to celebrate it tomorrow?
No, man, I've been kind of running all over the place, and I just got back from visiting some family in Georgia, so
Hmm.
and that was super super nice. But I'm taking a couple days to like do some admin stuff at home and like maybe sit down and play some guitars and some music, you know.
It's really
Just
cool.
taking some time to myself for sure.
Yeah. Well, you definitely deserve it. Anything else that you want people to know about in terms of what to look forward to? I don't know if you have certain dates scheduled for any of it, but as far as new songs or tour dates or other news, anything like that you want to share?
The record comes out in springtime. I think it's going to be either late March or early April.
Cool.
And that comes out on my label on SugarTank Records.
Okay.
Um, actually working on a European label as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to share that soon. Um, yeah, that'll be coming out then, and then tours will start directly after that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Are you finding a lot of because you come from a bit of a punk background? Are you finding that like a lot of punk rockers are gravitating toward your more electronic sound? Or
I mean, there's always been a scene for that for sure, but um, no, I don't know. I Punk rockers are punk rockers, man, and I think you know this. Like a lot of punk rockers are just like, this is what I listen to, and this is
yeah,
this is mine, will forever be mine, and that's it, you know. Or you don't listen to this, you know. Um, but honestly, the punk rock community is actually the sweetest and the best too,
yeah,
and probably the most open. But
yeah.
no, I think this for me was me wanting to not be in a guitar band.
Hmm. Okay.
You know, I've played in so many punk bands and so many rock and roll bands, and I love that stuff, and I'll forever love it, and I'll probably play in another one. But
Mhm.
I wanted to do something for me that was not that, and it was kind of like, let's make a synthesized record, a digital record, and then treat it like a rock and roll band, and then run all these synthesizers and these samples through amps, through amplifiers, and treat it as if it was a rock band,
Nice.
and put on the show that way. But I
Cool.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't heard of that approach before. That's really neat. Um, well, cool, man. So we'll just wrap up here. We've got a few seconds left. Websites you want to tell people about where they can find more about your music? Bandcamp.
Yeah, well, I don't think I have a Midniter Bandcamp yet. I should. So yeah, I'll get on that. But yeah, I've got my social media. My Instagram is at prosciutto Barbie. And then there's yeah,
We're gonna have to
yeah,
reconnect to talk about that.
yeah. We should. Um, and then yeah, sugartankrecords.com. Yeah, please check it out. Yeah, it's we're trying to build up the Charlotte community as much as we can, and the LGBTQ community as much as we can, and some artists that you've never heard of in that vein. So yeah, check it out.
It's been a pleasure, Nick. This has really been